Phase 1 was all about knowing your starting point and tracking so you know what you are currently eating. Phase 2 is about customizing a plan to suit you. Now before we start, I just want to explain a few terms: macronutrients and calories. Generally speaking, macronutrients or macros are your protein, carbohydrates and fat within a food. And a calorie is just a unit of measure to determine the energy required to raise temperature of 1 gram of water up to 1 degree Celsius. So 1 gram of protein contains 4 calories, 1 gram of carbohydrate contains 4 calories, and 1 gram of fat contains 9 calories. So you can see that fat is the most energy dense macronutrient. Now, do you really need to know this? Not really, but it's good to know. So in phase 2, we're concentrating on everything you've learned in phase 1, but now you're also paying attention to your macronutrient requirements, especially your protein. Now, in my experience, the majority of people don't actually get enough protein. They think they do, but in reality, they don't. Protein, when broken down, are made of amino acids, and amino acids are the building blocks to muscle. And if your body doesn't have enough to trigger muscle protein synthesis, then it's going to have a hard time packing on the beef. So therefore, it's important to get enough protein in your diet. Studies have shown that if you're healthy, you can eat up to 2.2 to 2.6 grams of protein per body weight per day. Now, I like to think muscle as your metabolic currency. The more you have, the better. Carbs are the body's preferred source of fuel, and it's also protein sparing. So if you have enough, then the body would spare protein to use for muscle recovery and growth instead of using protein for energy. So it's important to have carbs as well. Fats regulate hormone production, so it's important to have fats in your diet as well. But one type of fat, trans fats, you can do without. And a side note, carbs and fats don't make you fat. Overeating and constantly being in an energy surplus makes you fat. So make sure you stick to your recommendations and check in with us once in a while so we could adjust accordingly. So how does this all fit into the plan? During phase 1, you would have received your calorie and macro requirements. For example, if this figure was 2,000 calories broken down into 170 grams of protein, 170 grams of carbs, and 71 grams of fat, being on a flexible diet technically means that you could eat whatever you want as long as you don't go over these figures. So a whole egg is about 6 grams of protein, 5 grams of fat, and 0 grams of carbs. So if I eat a whole egg, I would take 6 grams away from my quota of 170 grams of protein and 5 grams away from my 71 grams of fat. And since the egg doesn't have any carbs, I still get to have 170 grams of carbs for the rest of the day. Now you could be thinking, sweet, I'm going to eat 170 grams worth of carbs and 71 grams worth of fats from stuffing my face with potato chips. Well, not so fast. Remember the 80-20 rule mentioned in the intro. What's the 80-20 rule? It means that 80% of your foods shall come from whole foods and the rest you could have treats. I mentioned previously that not much is off the table, which is kind of true. But at the moment, you want to form good habits and fuel your body with nutritious whole foods. The less processed foods you put into your body, the better. But the beauty about flexible dieting is that it's more forgiving. And understand that we recommend that 80-20 rule from a health point of view. It's certainly healthier to get your 170 grams worth of carbohydrates from vegetables, salads, and grains rather than processed sweets and lollies. The more compliant you are, the better your results. And if you need a hand with ideas, please reach out. Below you could download a list of foods to choose from. Basically, if it used to grow from the ground, on a tree, or swam in the sea and roamed on a farm, that's a whole food. And this is where prepping becomes so important because you take the control back. You know what's going on and you know what's going into your body. Now, in terms of how many meals you need to have per day, I'll leave that up to you as long as it's sustainable. But I do suggest you eat at least 2 to 4 meals a day. Current research shows that eating breakfast doesn't actually speed up your metabolism as once thought, and eating 5 to 6 small meals doesn't provide an edge in terms of weight loss compared to eating 2 or 3 times a day. It's your total energy balance which determines weight loss or weight gain. However, taking the example from above, if your aim is to eat 170 grams of protein and carbs and 71 grams of fat per day, it might be easier to spread this out evenly between 3 or 4 meals instead of cramming it in at the end of the day. Here are your tasks for phase 2. Now you should have already entered in your calories and your macros into MyFitnessPal. You should have already tracked for about a week so you know where you're at. Now this is where the rubber meets the road. Your task is to download the sample meal plan and review it. This is provided to you as an example of what can be done. Your aim is to create your own. Task 2, download meal plan and accountability tracker. Create your own meal plan. Find recipes that you like which fit your macros and, just as important, your protein requirements, and plan the perfect week. Write it down and send it through. If you don't, I'll ask for it. Remember, we're not here to fuck around. You're here to make a change. It might seem difficult, but remember why you're doing this. Is planning a week's worth of food really that hard? What's the story you're telling yourself right now? Task 3 is to make a shopping list of the ingredients needed, go out, buy them, and start to make the meals. I would suggest making a few of the 28 to life original bulk recipes we sent to you. Now, if time is an issue, but budget is not, there's absolutely nothing wrong with ordering from food prep companies such as 5.4 or YouFoods. But if you like to cook, but don't like to shop, then perhaps try Woolies or Coles Online or Marley Spoon or HelloFresh. Just make sure you know what you're getting in terms of protein requirements and your macros. Okay, time to get to work. I have the utmost faith in you, and please take advantage of the support on offer. Reach out if you need a hand.